Hello, I am Amit Ramnani, an international financial planner working at Ipanema Wealth, and today I am joined by Mariana Oliveira, who is a tax accountant based in Sao Paulo state. But Mariana is currently traveling, aren't you? You're in London at the moment, right?
Yeah, I'm in London at the moment. Some business matters meetings.
Great.
Um,
I'm going to
yeah,
send you a
we're
list.
in the
I'm going to send you a list of things
developing.
to bring for me. I'm missing a lot of things. I haven't been to London
Yeah,
for a
you can do
while,
a
so
list.
I'm sending you my shopping list after this video. But yeah, Mariana is based in Sao Paulo and provides advice to expatriates and high net worth individuals. And today we're going to discuss capital gains tax on Brazilian shares, on the Brazilian stock market. So we're going to talk about capital gains tax, which follows a different format to what expatriates are used to in, let's say, Europe and North America. There's a significantly different format here in Brazil. So away we go, Mariana. Tell me more about the monthly exemption of 20,000 reals on Brazilian shares, on trading Brazilian shares.
Okay, yeah, Amit. First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's lovely to be here. The monthly exemption applies to the total value of the sales in each calendar month. So this should not be confused with profit.
Okay.
That's more than about buy and sell, how much the operation goes, and not the profit itself. So this also applies to swing trades, not day trades. It's important to say.
So that means, for example, so this 20,000 exemption, if I were to sell 15,000 worth of shares in a month, let's say that's one trade, or if it's selling out of shares on 3 occasions, let's say 3 partial or full sales, totaling 15,000, and let's say 3,000 of that is profit, that is not taxable, right? There's no capital gains tax on that. Whereas if I were to sell 25,000 and there's only 1,000 of profit, that 1,000 is taxable, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the tax of 1,000 profit would be taxed by 15% on the profit. So therefore, like 150. Yeah, let's concentrate on the total of the buy and sell, the operation. But the profit will be taxable in this case.
Okay, and when is that payable? So let's say I've sold 25,000 this month and made 1,000 profit. When will that 150 reals, when will it be payable?
The deadline to pay the DARF, the document, Documento Receita Federal, is the last work day of the next month. So you have always a month to get it paid.
Okay, so if you sell in July, the 15th of July, you pay by the 31st of August, or the last working day.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that means that for many retail or traders or investors, so we're not talking about institutions who are dealing with millions, right? But for retail traders and investors, a lot of their selling might be governed by their tax strategy. They don't want to sell more, for example, than 20,000. So rather than following an investment strategy, it might be driven by tax strategy. So they remain exempt in most months, correct?
Yeah. I think in part it would be because most investors want to opt for investments that are profitable and pay less tax, or with a little recurrence. And I think you need, if you have some investments in Brazil and then UK and US, you need to pay attention and how to treat this in tax matters, and how each country will lead with the tax, and how have been the impacted of being US investor in Brazil or vice versa. So
one thing I find quite interesting, a lot of people fall into this trap that, for example, the 20,000 monthly exemption on sales, so that you don't have to submit this DARF and pay the 15% tax, it only applies to shares and ETFs. It does not apply to BDRs. So BDRs are the Brazilian version of ADRs. So you can buy international company BDRs through the Brazilian exchange. You can buy the Apple BDR, for example, here without necessarily having to, transfer your money to the US and buy it in dollars. So it does not apply to BDRs and options, right? It's just ações, shares and ETFs, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Not include the BDRs are not included on the 20,000 or is exemption. It does any profit, whether on sales like 1,000 or 19,000. So there will be a 15% tax must be paid by the final of the following month. Okay. But BDRs are not included on this.
Okay, and I guess another thing which retail investors need to be aware of is day trades. Day trading has become very fashionable, especially since the pandemic. I'm not a fan of it myself, but that's another issue for another video. But I guess if someone, I mean, let's say in the case of me buying 100 shares at 100 reals per share, so that's 10,000. Let's say I do that in the morning, and then before close of markets, I sell it. So on the same day, and the price has gone up by 10%. Let's say miraculously, I make a gain on this day trade, and it's a 1,000 real profit. That is also not included in this monthly exemption, right? That is fully taxable.
Yeah, this is also not included. And if you get this amazing profit in a day trade, it will be taxable at a higher rate of 20%. So there's no exemption. If you made this profit on the sale on the 11,000, then the 1,000 will be taxable as 20%.
20%, okay.
Yeah.
And can monthly losses, so let's say I make a loss this month, I make a gain next month, can this month's loss be used to compensate next month's gain, or a gain in 6 months, for example? Can I use that?
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that there are so many types and categories of shares and options, ETFs, BDRs, etc. But it's important to say that can only compensate and carry forward losses of the same category. Okay. So there are many categories, and it needs to depend on the investment that you have.
Okay, interesting. So if I have a loss in a share, I cannot use that to compensate a gain in a BDR next month or in January. The two has to be BDR against BDR, share against share to compensate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can compensate for losses between different types of investments, actually, if they are composed of the same type of operation. So,
I mean,
for
swing
example,
trade and day trade. So swing
can
only compensate a swing. A day trade can only a loss in a day trade.
Day trade, yeah.
Okay.
That's the point.
So for an individual who is frequently trading, and this is obviously, I guess we all know people who've suddenly become much more involved in the markets, especially since March 2020, when a lot of people were at home and there was a tech boom, there was a lot of different unique movement in global markets. So a lot of people became day traders or swing traders. But I get the feeling, just from talking to my friends and just my circle of friends all over the world, I get the feeling that a lot of them have no idea what they're doing when it comes to tax reporting.
Yeah. It's important to keep the records organized, like keeping the notas of negociação, trading records of a broker, having a control spreadsheet. It's kind of easier for most of people, so it's a good idea. Buying software, some people like to buy some software to calculate the gain and losses or consolidate their data.
I have my own control spreadsheet which I put together myself. I like that. I'm a bit of a nerd with Excel, so I've done that, and I also have some software. So I've got my checks and balances in place for that.
Yeah, you're very organized.
But I think a lot of people don't do it. They just keep trading and they do nothing. And I guess they can get a multa, right? A fine by Receita Federal.
Yeah, and they can see the they can have the control about their investments, because okay, you have your banker or broker that are doing this for you, but you need to know if you made profit, if you made loss. It's
good
important
management
to
of
keep
your,
these records. Yeah.
sure. Okay, and final question. At the end of the year, so we've spoken about monthly declarations, but at the end of the year, how should this all be consolidated? So let's say you've made losses in some months, you've made gains, and you've made taxable gains, and you've got to put this all together in your tax declaration, the Imposto de Renda de Pessoa Física, which is due in by the end of April every year. So how do you consolidate all of this when it comes to trading?
Yeah, there's a section in the Imposto de Renda software, which you can record all the realized gains and losses of each category. So they split by category, like shares and option market, etc. So day trade, swing trade, you can choose by category, and then you file this form, and then enter the Imposto de Renda software. So yeah, you can enter the tax you want, and you paid by month. And if you already have paid some tax, you can include that. So the software will adjust it automatically.
Okay, so yeah, you'll get a final figure of tax which needs to be paid or not if you've overpaid, for example.
Yes.
Okay, that's good, Mariana. Thank you very much. That was very useful. Very, very relevant for people who've been involved in the stock market and need some guidance as to how to compute their tax, let's say our tax responsibilities. I hope you all found that useful. And if you like the video, I guess press the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're always trying to produce relevant content for our viewers. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. See you at the next video. Cheers.
Cheers.